Hi, I'm Jerry Long. I'd like to welcome you all to my new YouTube channel. I started getting interested in photography over the summer of 1962, just before my senior year in high school. During my high school senior year, I became the staff photographer for the school newspaper. I also did photography for the school annual. My annual was full of photos that I have taken, and a lot of friends still remember those. So I was very fortunate. Right after high school, I started working at a portrait studio in Santa Monica, California. I did that for a few months, and then I got a better job at an aircraft company, also in Santa Monica, and I was making black and white prints all day. And the good thing about this, I became an expert at printmaking. We had a guy who was in the finishing room where they dried all the prints, and he would look at your work with a critical eye and say, this is not good enough, and he'd send it back to you and say, print it again until you get it right. So after a while, we got pretty good at printing. So I would say I became a local expert, and that really helped me in a career that was going to follow. Over the summer of 1964, some friends of mine and I went down to a teenage nightclub in Redondo Beach called the Revelaire Club. This was owned by a KRLA DJ. His name was Reb Foster. And I recently reconnected with him and hope to do a video of him and I together soon. But anyway, went down there and I noticed they had a photographer there, and it seemed like he was missing all of the really great shots. And when I was in high school, taking all these annual photos and the sports activities, I learned that you need to anticipate the shots that's going to happen. So I became real good at that. And anyway, I made them an offer they couldn't refuse. I said, let me in here, I'll take some photos, and if you like what you see, let me in anytime I want it. So we put them up on the wall, and they loved them, absolutely loved them. It says, come in anytime that you want. So this was really the start of the beginning of a great relationship. So the Revelaire Club, Reb Foster would hire big name talent like Sonny and Cher, Dick and Dee Dee at the time would come in, Terry Stafford. They had some musicians which became later on known as the Turtles, but the house band played surf music. It was Eddie and the Showmen, and they were great. Unfortunately, Eddie and some of the other members are no longer living. But anyway, so one day Reb Foster and Bob Eubanks decided to hire the Beatles to perform at the Hollywood Bowl. And he came up to me one day and he said, Jerry, I'd like you to photograph the Beatles for me. And I said, of course I will. And I'd love to do it. So he got me a press pass, which I still have actually. And I went to the press conference at the Cinnamon Center that was owned by Bob Eubanks, and shot my photos there. It was a madhouse. I'll tell you more in a future video. But anyway, I went to the Hollywood Bowl afterwards, standing on the left-hand side of the stage, taking my photos. It was the most amazing night I will never ever forget in history. These guys were great. The crowd was amazing. I never heard a roar like these people out there when the Beatles came on stage. But anyway, so I had made some 16 by 20 black and white prints that I mounted on mount board and gave them to Red Foster for what he had paid me at the time. And he showed them to the staff at KRLA, and lo and behold, they were just starting a brand new rock and roll newspaper, and they called it the KRLA Beat. So they asked me if I would like to be the staff photographer for the KRLA Beat. And this is the newspaper right here. The guy in the picture is Paul McCartney and Derek Taylor, whom I also became good friends with because he became an editor at the KRLA Beat at one time. But anyway, so that was the start of a great relationship. They first assignment that I got was to go out and photograph the Rolling Stones. The editor at the time, her name was Bonnie Golden. She had me pick her up at her apartment in Hollywood. We met the Rolling Stones at LA International Airport, and then we went from there right to their hotel room. It was the Roosevelt Hotel in Hollywood. And there I did a complete spread of photos of them in their room. Another friend of mine, Joey Page, was also there. He was a good friend of the Rolling Stones as well. Another KRLA DJ, Gary Mack, was also there. He brought an audio recorder and did an interview. But anyway, later on I also photographed Brian Jones at the KRLA DJ booth. Him and Joey Page had came to the booth, and it was really fantastic there. So those are times I'll never forget. And anyway, so what my channel is all about is I'm going to start talking about my experiences photographing some very famous musicians. Besides the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, there were many others, and had some great times and memories that I'll never forget. So anyway, I'll also be talking about photographic equipment. So I have built a studio that this video is being made in right now in my basement, and it's fully equipped with the latest LED lighting. And I'm going to be talking about cameras, various gear that I've owned in the past. I'm a Nikon shooter. I've shot Nikon since 1975. I bought a brand new Nikon F2 film camera just before I moved to Australia, and I've been a Nikon shooter ever since. But anyway, this is what we're going to do. We're going to talk about lighting, the lights that I use, kind of backgrounds I'm going to use, that sort of stuff, and tripods. I've got some very nice tripods now I bought recently, very sturdy, the best ones I've ever owned. They're all made by Pro Media Gear. But anyway, so I'd like to ask you all to please subscribe to my channel. And when you do, hit that little red subscribe button down at the bottom. Hit the button and wait till that little bell hits. Because if you hit that little bell, you'll be able to get all the notifications by email, and you won't want to miss any of my videos that's coming up. So thank you, and I look forward to seeing you all. Thank you.